Okay, welcome back to the Caribou Data Science channel. This is what's this here? Welcome back to the Caribou Data Science channel. This is the evening of, a little late, well, Wednesday, December the 14th, 2022. And and let's begin with a little bit of Excel, okay? And I was looking at this series of videos right here. So I downloaded his file, but there's something really strange about his file, okay? If we stay up here, A equals, okay, that works. If I come over here and say equals, it's treating it as a text string. And honestly, I don't know what's causing that. If you have any suggestions, just drop them in the chat session here, okay? Okay. Now we should technically be able to do this, okay, with in Power Query. Now what's interesting, we have this tab here called volume data. But if we actually do this, Control A, Control T, it's still called table one, even though we got a volume table, we got a volume right there. Okay, but it keeps switching back to table one name. But anyway, let's come back over here then. Let's see. So it keeps saying five. What five's not here? Let's delete five. Let's see. Transform. Who's this? Hey Stephen, how you doing, friend? Thanks so much for stopping by YouTube this evening. What are you up to? You look like a Excel guru to me. Let me ask you a question here. Okay. Okay. So here's the table I have. Okay. And the problem is if I do equals, then move up one. Well, thanks so much for watching my work. Be sure to click that bell button to be notified when I go live. I generally stream Monday through Thursday, 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Sometimes on Sunday, but if you have that bell clicked, you'll know whenever I go live. Okay. So anyway, so I'm looking at this Excel file here. Okay, and I come back up here now to copy A2. Right, it doesn't do it. It treats it like it's a text string. Oh, now it worked. Huh. Okay, so what the problem is, uh, you got to change this column to actually, oddly enough, to a number field, right? Right, right. But the trouble was, this was formatted as a text column and not a number. So if it's formatted as a text, it treats everything as a text. You see, because I worked up here, after formatting this as a, yeah, the forward field. Right. The guy actually talks about over here. Okay.
Good. There's nothing there, so I'm going to escape. Now, just as a quick note, because these are just general references, look at this. We've got our client IDs. I'm just going to give you.
Yeah. So the problem was, again, this column was formatted as a text. So anything that's typed in there is treated as a text. Well, formulas are of course, numeric values. Okay. So tell me, Stephen, what's your background? So let's just watch this rascal video here again.
You a little note. You should never make an assumption like this unless you know your ERP system or you know the system where the data came out of does things a certain way. But
You know, I should also be able to do it in Power Query also using a custom column, right?
this is not uncommon where you'll have a system that outputs data and it sort of groups things. You'll see this on bank statements. You'll see this on ERP exports, stuff like that, where it'll have just the very top row where this client.
Sure. Okay. Masters in statistics and college and mathematics and statistics. That's already a good start. Uh, Statistics in college bachelor level. Okay. So are you trying to get into the data science field or data analytics field? Here's the link. Salesforce administrator. So are you currently working as a data scientist or data analyst? Yes, I'm a hobbyist. I'm a hobbyist. Absolutely. I'm an amateur. Yeah. Well, I taught myself art programming 4 or 5 years ago, and many years ago, like 20 years ago, I did some SQL. Although over the last 1 2 years, I went out and I got a Google Data Analytics certification. I'm not really I say I'm not really actively looking for a job. So if a recruiter calls me and a job drops in my lap and it's remote, I'll take it. But it's not like, it's not like it's not like I'm really pounding the streets or pounding the internet to find a job at this point.
Client data exists, and then the client isn't going to be populated on every row. Rather, it's just going to have all the.
Okay. Uh, are you taking any? How much programming do you have in your background or training? Have you done much programming at all? Python, R, SQL? Okay, good. Well, you should certainly have the skills to move more towards the data side if that's what you want to do. Have you used these skills on the job?
The inputs for that client until it gets to the next client, and then it's going to continue down that process. So you see we got client one here, another client, blanks, 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 client, blanks, 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 client, and we've got all the dates and volumes associated with that. I want to fill in those blanks and I want to do it quickly. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to go control spacebar from within this column,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to hit Alt H F D S K. What that does is go to special blanks, enter. Now what's happened is all of the blank cells in that column are now selected. They're activated. In order to fill those in, what I'm going to do now is hit equals up arrow. So what that's doing is saying, hey, for every
I use Python pandas to clean up some of the columns we had in our Salesforce database. It was small enough that I could export the database data as a CSV. Then do my edits and make graphs too. Show management and up. It sounds to me if you're a data, you're very close to being a data analyst. Okay. Don't underestimate that Python or SQL work you've done on the job. Okay. All it takes is one listing on your on your LinkedIn profile or something like that. Make sure you list all those skills. Maybe even what you did with those skills on your resume someplace under the job heading. Okay. Okay. So I'm not really a shortcuts kind of guy. Go to special, go to blanks. Right. Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate it, Stephen. Yeah, I tend to just work on what interests me at the moment. So go to special, go to blanks. Why is this happening over here for us? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, let's see what happens over here now.
blank cell, I want to say reference the cell directly.
And one of the guys that inspires me in R is this person right here, David Robinson. If you subscribe to his site once every week, or so he'll go live. I know that might sound silly, but I like how you are talking your taking your time out to learn as a hobbyist. We need more people like you in the world. I believe it would help to keep more. Uh, yeah, that's true, but I mean, it's no different than learning a skill for any other hobby. Okay, I mean, what got me interested in R was sunspots. Okay, one of my hobbies is astronomy. And part of that hobby, I observe sunspots on the sun, and I count the sunspots. Then I collected some sunspot data and I plotted it. Okay, because the sun goes in like 11-year cycle. Right now we're in the midst of a solar maximum. At some point, those numbers will fall off the edge of the table and go back down to almost single low double digits. So I've actually had, so that's basically where I got interested in. It's easy to get interested in the subject, but something you actually can use. That's what that's about. But along the way, I help a few people out. And if you're interested in Python, that's Robert Mula, also known as Medallion Stallion on Twitch. He streams pretty regularly, usually once or twice a week. Okay, on Twitch. Okay. So why is that doing us over here for? Probably the most I did was back in the late '90s, early 2000s. I worked as a Unix systems administrator in Colorado. Uh, After the big crash following 9/11, I came back to Ohio. I worked as a couple of jobs. I tried system administration, but I didn't really like it anymore. I did a little telemarketing, but I mean, as you can probably tell, I'm not that young anymore.
Above it. So for that first blank, it's going to reference the client ID right above it until it gets down to the last blank. Then the next section is going to reference the next client and so on and so forth. In order to apply that formula to all the selected
Yeah, I guess so. Uh, probably the biggest. It's not actually Unix; it's Linux. I mean, the internet basically runs on Linux. Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. These used to call it LAMP, and that's really where that's there. Yes, I have. And once a couple of years ago, I actually tried it out. But what I normally do is I have Ubuntu running in a virtual box. Although I rarely use it. I mean, if in all honesty, that's if you want to tinker with well, keep in mind any program you want to do, you can also do on Windows. You can do Python. You can do R. You can do C++. You can do Fortran. Yes, that's right. I said Fortran. Because if you set up an R, you can go out. You can go out and look for what's called MIG-Win. Uh, well, and you can either, oh, what you can do is this. You want to run R, so you install R in RStudio and the libraries like that for R. As part of installing R on Windows, you install what's called R tools, and R tools is basically Unix tools for Windows. And that includes, like I say, C++. That includes Fortran. That includes Python. Well, you would install Python and R separately. Okay, you might as well just do it that way, in my opinion. Uh, yeah, I personally not. Yeah, I don't know. If it was me, and I wanted to run Linux or something on my computer, I would use a virtual machine. Okay, because that way you go get the native environment. Okay. So do you live in the U.S., Stephen? Live in Florida. Okay. All right. I'll be right back. I'll give me some more something to drink.
Cells, you hold down Control and you hit Enter. Now, look at that. All of our clients have been populated like magic. It's beautiful. All right. So this is just a practice that I do anytime that I change data within a column. It is already starting to look better. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to hit Control T. That is going to create a table, create a data table. I'm going to hit Enter because I do have headers. And then I'm going to name this table. I'm going to hit Alt-JTA. That's going to go to the table name field. And I'm going to call this volume by client. Because we've got this client ID, we've got this date, and we've got volume. That makes sense to me. Now let's take a look at this. We've got our client IDs. I'm just going to give you a little note. You should never make an assumption like this unless you know your ERP system or you know the system where the data came out of does things a certain way. But
Yeah, that's always a possibility. Always a possibility. Not really difficult to set up. And you simply create an IP for your server and then just SSH into the IP. I mean, you could also dual boot. That's another option. You can always dual boot between Windows and Linux. Yeah, yeah, you can do that. So are you a Vim or an Emacs guy or something else? Yeah, I was mainly Vim back in the day, but I don't do enough on Linux anymore to really worry about that. Of course, if you really want to get old school, you can use ed, right? No, I don't actually. No. What Gen Z Vimmer? What that means? Like I said, if you really want to get old school, you can use ed. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you can install VS Code on your Linux box also. By the way, but the secret to Linux is still at the command line. Okay, it's an incredibly powerful text tools. Sure, let it rip. Is it for Chrome? Okay. So what we got here is a little bit of Fortran. Okay. Uh, there's several ways to install Unix utilities on Windows. Uh, if you use Windows System for Linux, you could probably install Fortran separately. No big deal. But anyway, this calculates what's called Fibonacci numbers, Fibonacci sequence. Now, don't ask me to explain it to you, but it's one of those things that everybody in math loves to look at. But what's interesting about this Fortran code here, they actually got it. Have you looked at Chat GPT yet? So I came down here and I typed in, how to Fortran, how to calculate Fibonacci numbers. Okay. Yes, I know that's there, but it doesn't want to work there. And it gave me this code. Okay. I mean, you can ask it a lot of programming questions. I asked it how to calculate a median value in Fortran. Okay, and it gave me some code. But the first time I ran this, I got an error, so I went back in. I cut and pasted the code. I said, what's this error mean? I cut and pasted the code. Uh, uh, try to. You know what you can do if that doesn't work? You can always Facebook it to me. just try to cut and paste the link and see what happens to it. Okay. So, so anyway, let's calculate the Fibonacci sequence in a in a. Now this is kind of strange. Did I skip something here? Because this thing ran last night. Oh, it does look that way, doesn't it? Oh, you're right. Nice catch. There you have it. And there's your Fibonacci sequence for 40 out to 40 numbers. And that is my first uh, Fortran program I got to run. So like I said, I asked this question in that chat GTP, and the first time I was getting an error. I went back and repasted it. And I said, what's the error here? And it made a change to the code, and it gave me this code here, which now actually works. So it's kind of interesting. Uh, Here we go.
Does your computer run slow, freeze from time to time, or even crash completely?
This is Vimium, a Chrome extension which helps you browse the web using just your keyboard.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'd like to find some tips on beating Super Mario for the Wii. Vimium gives you a few simple shortcuts for scrolling the current page, like J and K for scrolling up and down, Control D and Control
I think I
U
may
for
have
scrolling
saw
a
that at
half
some
page up and
point.
down.
Sounds
But
familiar.
what's really cool is that you can click on any link using some simple keyboard shortcuts. So here,
Do I have that over here? I got this here. Has this been? Is this what this is here? So is this it? Is this something different? This is called V, so that's similar. But you said hmm, okay. Let's see something. Where do we find our extension? How do I get to add-ons? Under more tools, extensions. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, extensions. Yeah, I don't see it. Click the hamburger option. This over here. Hmm. Let's just try. Mission browser developers. Hmm.
Here I'm going to type Shift F, which means follow a link in a new tab. You'll notice that every link on the page. This is Vimium, a Chrome extension which helps you browse the web using just your keyboard. So I'd like to find some tips on beating Super Mario for the Wii. Vimium gives you a few simple shortcuts for scrolling the current page, like J and K for scrolling up and down, Control D and Control U for scrolling a half page up and down. But what's really cool is that you can click on any link using some simple keyboard shortcuts. So here I'm going to type Shift F, which means follow a link in a new tab. You'll notice that every link on the page now has two letters next to it.
Let's just close this, maybe. Gee. I don't know. It's kind of odd, isn't it? Hmm. I don't know. Yeah, it is. I just don't think it's running for some reason or other. What needs to be blue? See, it says it has access to the site. Hmm. It says it has access to the site, which is kind of strange. Close this. Oh, there it is. Now it's blue. All right. If you do J, being the old Vim guy I used to be, Google Data Analytics. Oh, wait a minute, that's me. See, here's my Google certification. Of course, the old saying is, this certification and $3 will get you a cup of coffee. Hmm. Yeah, one thing that's kind of fun to look at on Linux is what's called SC. That's a text-based spreadsheet program, curses-based text sheet program. Oh, there it is. I'll be right back. I could go to the little data analyst room here. That's true. You can, yeah. Hmm. You know what's interesting is you know all these keys should work in Vim, right? So it's one way to learn. It's one way to learn how to work with Vim. Uh-oh. I wonder if that rascal's actually streaming. Okay. Here's the guy I was mentioning to you, who's a Python programmer. Good programmer, good data scientist, and a nice guy, which is a good combination. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and bring this session to a close. I'm going to watch Medallion Stang a little bit. You get a chance, go by his stream and watch it, okay? Uh, but anyway, I appreciate your time, Stephen, and thanks for put me on to the to that Chrome extension for Vimium Chrome extension. That looks really interesting and useful. Thanks again for stopping by. I'll be streaming tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time also.